Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Now before we show you Devin's insane turbo Civic, which happens to have a B18C engine swapped into it, we have an entire collection of engine code jet tags, including that engine, as well as the B16B, which you guys might want to check out. So if you want to check out the designs we do have, the link is in the description, shop.roadsuntraveled.com. Enjoy the video.
Devin, I'm back. This is my 97 Honda Civic. It's originally started with a B16, swapped in a B18C with forged internals, Wisco pistons, Eagle rods, just ARP head studs, ITR cams, kind of just bolt-ons. And then it's got a Garrett turbo, mixed 350 to the wheels.
Alright you guys, today is a very good day. After attempting to jump start this car a couple of times, we're having a few battery issues, but it doesn't matter. We got the car running, it's on the road. This, you guys, is Devin's EK Civic Turbo Hatch. I have waited so many years to drive a turbocharged Civic and to bring you guys a turbo Civic on this channel. I know turbo Civics are like one of the quintessential, how do you say this, fundamental tuner cars that you really need to understand and get before you kind of look into all the other crazy JDM Skylines and stuff, because people who get into cars, generally speaking, when you're younger, you don't have a lot of money. And what car is cheap and reliable? Well, it's a Honda Civic. This Civic right here is putting down 360 wheel horsepower. 360 horsepower putting down to the front wheels. Luckily it does have an LSD. It's got a few other modifications that make it quite the driver's car. And let me tell you, first off, this car is hella fast. This car is insanely fast, very fun to drive. And it's a project that Devin's been working on for a really long time. He's had this car for almost a decade. The number 360 wheel horsepower in a Civic, you're like, oh my god, that sounds like a death trap. Yeah, you're right. It is, as I will demonstrate. Devin's a madman. He tells me, he's like, oh, it's not that much power. I'm like, dude, you have over 400 horsepower at the crank in a front wheel drive Civic that weighs as much as a feather. Like, it is. Okay, so Devin straight up told me to do a first, second, third pull, so we're gonna see what the boost by gear feels like. Oh, torque stealing. Oh my god. What is this car? This car is absolutely mental. Dude, Devin, you're insane. You're insane. You told me this wasn't like a crazy car and it doesn't have that much power.
Back when I got this thing, like everyone was driving Honda Civics. We'd like go to Tim Hortons and there'd be like 10 of us and we'd all have like NA cars or boosted cars. We were going up to like Thunder Mountain in Kelowna. We go up the drag races and we just like beat everyone. It was easy. Nowadays, cars are just way crazier and like it was a fast car back then. Lots of people, like lots of my friends, they like hated Honda Civics and they like would diss it and be like, haha, you think you're fast. And then I've taken people for a ride and they've like literally shit their pants and they're like, holy shit. And then they don't say anything or they don't race me after. One of my friends actually hated Honda Civics and then he took him for a ride in my car and he's like, I'm building a boosted Civic. My cousin originally had a Honda Civic and it had a little VTEC swap, and that's kind of what got me hooked. I had a couple Honda Civics. I was buying and selling them to fund this thing, and I just kind of wanted to go faster. Originally it was supercharged, and then I maxed the pulleys out on that and ended up selling it and then went turbo. Honestly, like a lot of people like rear wheel drive. I honestly like how the front wheel drive pulls me through the corners. Like if it's set up right and it's got like good suspension, you'll just pull through corners. And like I've raced multiple people like down windy roads and they can't even catch me. I had a B20 VTEC NA build and that thing was sick, but definitely having the turbo VTEC is fun because you have like you have boost and then you have your VTEC kick and then you just feel kind of both of them at the same time, and it puts you back in your seat.
All right, so power out of a corner. The paint job, it's an orange paint job, obviously. This orange is a Lotus orange, Devin told me. Very bright. This car really stands out. If you guys don't know, Devin's actually been on the channel before. He owns a white Mark IV Supra that was imported from Japan. It's right-hand drive, and we featured that on the channel before. As a rear-wheel drive guy, someone who enjoys a rear-wheel drive car, someone who drives a mid-engine, turbocharged rear-wheel drive Japanese sports car on a daily basis, I can get behind a well-sorted-out Civic. I absolutely can. As we pass the JDM Subaru Legacy twin turbo, I can appreciate a Civic because there is no denying Civics on the track, Civics at the drag strip, they do very well when set up properly for whatever you're doing with them. All right, we're chasing a Boxster. Whoa, that's third. Whoa! I wasn't actually gonna pass that guy, but then that Cayman did. And there's nothing that a turbo Civic driver likes more than to embarrass factory sports cars.
Yeah, a lot of people like they look at you silly like when you're just bouncing off rev limiter, but like that's where I'm building like full boost. I'm building full boost at 8,000 RPM and I'm spinning first, shifting to second, shifting to third. So it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of the most fun cars I've ever owned. Right now the car is set up tuned on Honda. It's running about like 8 PSI in first, 12 in second, and then I've got like 21 PSI in third. So it's good for traction, but once it's in third gear and like pulling hard, it pulls. Integra Type R interior has the ITR cluster, the front Recaros and the rear Recaros. I went through like 3 motors. Originally it was a B16, and then I went B16 again, and then I got tired of like the no torque, so I eventually found a B18C, swapped that in, and way more power, way more fun.
Oh, the torque steer is mental, you guys. You have to anticipate, not only anticipate the torque steer, but react quickly and react with ultimate power. And I get it now. I get it. All those videos I watched as a teenager of these guys in like Florida and California roll racing turbo Civics and drag racing turbo Civics with big balloon tires. No, I get that now. I really do. We'll do a second gear roll on here. Woo! That was like, yeah, that was insane. And the best part is, and I've only ever experienced this once, and that was in Steve's first gen Acura NSX in Las Vegas when we filmed that car. It's a turbocharged NSX. So it's exactly what Devin's talking about here. It's turbo plus VTEC, which you don't really experience in a lot of other cars. Sure, you can get kind of a similar thing from like a 1J with VVTi or a 2J or whatever with VVTi, but it is not the same. The way VTEC hits perfectly matched up when the turbo spools up is, I can't even describe it. It's ridiculous, but you really do have to rev it out. If you go from like 3,000 RPM, waiting, boost by 5, but then look at the tack, you guys, 5,000 to 8,400 RPM. So you have a bunch of room to play with. Yeah, VTEC plus boost is something that, yeah, dreams are made of.
Honestly, don't buy someone's like fresh rebuilt engine because it's probably not. Usually people are just cleaning them up, make them look good. That's my mistake. I bought a nice engine that was supposedly rebuilt. It lasted like 1,000 kilometers. Honestly, these cars are like cheap. They're a lot of fun, and like if anyone who wants to like get into cars, I would recommend starting with a Honda Civic. They're easy to work on. Anyone can kind of do it. It's like a 10 mil, a 12, and a 14, maybe a 17, and that's all you need, and you're ripping the whole thing apart. I've definitely had like a lot of help from like close friends. Even like my father, he was like a huge like figure in my life, and like helped me with this car, like always being like, oh yeah, let's do it. And he actually had a BMW, and me and him would do drag racing together and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. Like when we first got this thing tuned, he couldn't believe it. Like we just like was like, holy shit, like this thing's beating my like M car.
Yeah, that's not what a BMW owner wants to do.
No, exactly.
The car actually handles very well too, even considering the power. Generally with a lot of these high power builds, you see a lot of sacrifice, and you see a car that cannot perform in other circumstances. But this EK, you have liftoff oversteer at your fingertips, you have torque steer at your fingertips, and you have a car that could just like slaughter most things at your fingertips. I absolutely can't get enough of it. And I know you guys, there's 600, 700, 800 horsepower Civics out there. I've seen them, you've seen them, we've all seen them online, right? But this is a great amount of power for the street. Thanks, Devin, for letting me drive your car. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram. You can kind of see what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And yeah.